Hello, Naomi here. It's that time to talk about the games I completed in March 2024. I'm going to talk about each game in a spoiler-free way and just give my overall impressions of each game. This month I completed 5 games, and there were some big ones for sure, so without further ado, let's just jump right in. The first game I completed was The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Now this right here, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, is actually a collection of 2 games, but I'm saving the second game, The Great Ace Attorney 2, for a future playthrough. I really want to savor these games. In this game, you play as a young man who, through a series of events, decides to become an attorney/detective. Along the way, he meets a character heavily inspired by Sherlock Holmes in Sherlock Sholmes. I love detective stories, and Sherlock Holmes is one of my all-time favorite characters throughout media, so I really enjoyed this alternate reality version of him. In this game, he's more of a quirky steampunk inventor that jumps to incorrect conclusions, and at times he needs to be corrected. But he's still a great detective in his own right. Of the Ace Attorney games I've played so far, this being the 4th, this was my favorite by far. I just felt the puzzles were fantastic, it has such a great story, and I love all of the main characters. I really can't wait to play the second game. Next is definitely the biggest game I completed this month, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I feel like I need to give a little bit of my own background with this game. Final Fantasy VII Remake was the first Final Fantasy game I had ever played. I don't know why I had never played a Final Fantasy game until then. I just didn't think they were for me for some reason. Well, Remake ended up being one of my favorite games of all time, and I've played several Final Fantasy games since, but I still haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII. I do plan on playing it eventually, but at this point I feel like I'm saving it. So I was really looking forward to Rebirth, and this was my first time experiencing this portion of the story. I really enjoyed the game as a whole and all the story beats. I really love that we get to know all the characters better in this game and really diving into the characters' backstories. Another thing I really enjoyed was the card game within the game called Queen's Blood. I really loved that card game, and it ended up having a great storyline all of its own. I feel like it could have been its own game. It was that good. All that said, I would say Rebirth did have too many minigames squeezed into it. I don't mind a game being packed with minigames normally, but there were 2 areas in the middle very close together where you couldn't progress without playing a series of minigames. At a certain point, it really started dragging for me. Eventually, it did get back to the story and it picked back up, but that middle section was really rough for me. Overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this game. It's such a beautiful game, and I'm really looking forward to the 3rd installment. The 3rd game I completed was Paper Mario Color Splash. I'm super excited about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door releasing, so I decided it was finally time to go back and complete Color Splash. I really like the art style of this game, the paper craft look, and it's really satisfying to color in all the blank spots throughout the levels. The card battling mechanic is fun, and I really enjoyed it. My one little gripe with this game would be I wish in the overworld, in the level summaries, it would tell you if you had an undiscovered special item. Occasionally, I would know I was missing an item, but would have absolutely no idea where to find it. In the beginning, it's not that big of a deal, but towards the end, it could be just about anywhere. There are little hints, but I wish they would just tell me which level to look in. With that one little gripe aside, I really enjoyed playing this game, and I'm so happy I finally finished playing it. Battle Axe is an arcade-style action-adventure. This is actually a very short game consisting of only 4 levels, but we have been playing this in couch co-op for some time now, almost as a palate cleanser between larger games. Basically only playing it for a few minutes until we die and then move on to the next game. Well, this time when we popped it in, we beat the game in one go. For some, I know this may not sound like much, but for me it gets very difficult on that last level, so we did not expect to actually complete it, and I'm so proud we got to the credits. We really enjoy playing Battle Axe. It's fast-paced, really fun couch co-op game, and it's the perfect game to play when you only have a few minutes. The last game I completed in March is The Ascent. I played this completely in couch co-op. This is an action RPG shooter. This game really reminded me of Diablo 3, but this is a cyberpunk world, and instead of spells, you have guns. To be clear, this game is very different from Diablo 3, but there was something about the way the co-op was executed and the RPG elements that just gave me that familiar feeling. The surprising thing for me was I don't normally like shooters. Initially, I was playing this game more for the co-op, but I really found myself enjoying the game. It's hard to put my finger on why exactly I enjoyed this game so much when I don't normally enjoy shooters. The couch co-op was very well balanced. Although not the most amazing story, it did keep me intrigued and I wanted to know more about the world. Also, I really enjoyed some of the upgrades like the mech suit. My one complaint would be that the text in the game was very small, but my husband was able to read everything okay, so this may say more about my vision than the game itself, but I would say the text was smaller than the average console game. In conclusion, I surprisingly really loved The Ascent. Okay, that was all the games I completed March of 2024. My favorite game I completed this month would have to be The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Although Ascent and Rebirth came really close to winning the month, I just really loved everything about Great Ace Attorney, and I can't think of a single negative about the game for me. It's a 10 out of 10. As far as my yearly count goes, I've decided to count collections by their original release. So for instance, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles was originally 2 separate releases, so I'm counting Adventures as one complete game, and when I eventually get to Great Ace Attorney 2, I'll count that as a separate entry. With this counting structure, I have now completed so far this year 22 games. I have the list of games I played this year in the description below. If you would like to hear me talk about any of those games a little bit, I have previous videos in the series linked. Well, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving a like and subscribing, and until next time, happy gaming.